What's up, guys? Today is day 65, trying to make $1 million, bro. 65 days has been. Whoa, I have learned a lot. I've learned a lot, bro. Learned a lot. So, for today, I was reading this book, 100 Million Offers by Alex Hormozzi. And in this amazing book, Alex Hormozzi gave away. Wait, something happened with the life. Okay, guys, I'm back. So, today, okay, what I prepared for today? I was reading this book, 100 Million Offers by Alex Hormozzi. I want to apply the concepts of this book to my own business, and this way I can make $1 million. Making offers so good people feel stupid saying no. That's the title of the book. How to make offers so good people feel stupid saying no. So I know that with these concepts I can make $1 million. Making an offer so good people feel stupid saying no. Probably with a with selling a picture or a paint or selling art in general. I can sell something and for $1 million and make an offer so good people feel stupid saying no. So probably I will do that. I don't know. for now. What I prefer, let me show you, because in this book Alex gave away free courses, free information, and I want to share that with you guys. So let's watch one of these videos together. Alex give away free information, free knowledge. So I want to learn more about how to make an offer so good people feel stupid saying no. So let's start here.
Everyone, welcome. My name is Alex Hormozi. I'm the CEO of Acquisition.com, and in this video, what I want to do is show you how I turned $1,036 into $112 million in revenue over 44 months using unique acquisition frameworks. This is going to be the introduction to a long series of courses that I'm giving away for free, and I'm doing that because I want to help everyone who's under $3 million a year just get there. And so my transparent intention is to give you more value than you'd be getting from your quote high ticket courses and coaching programs, and do it absolutely free. And it's because candidly, I don't need the money, and because this is something that I'm really passionate about. And so I built the studio, I built all the stuff just for this process for you. So once I obviously had, got started, I was able to double down again.
Alright guys, something happened again. Oh, I have problems with the camera. Perfect. Let's continue with the video.
Again, using these acquisition frameworks I'm going to share with you, I ended up spending $3.1 million and getting a total lifetime return of 36 to 1 on advertising. So these are practices that I've done myself, that I have lived firsthand, and I know that they work, and so I just want to be able to share this with you. I would share these one-on-one, and this is what I do with our portfolio companies, but since I can only work with companies that that are doing a minimum of 3 to 10 million a year that work with us, this is just for everyone else. To be able to learn for free. All right. So I built Gym Launch from 0 to 2.4 million a month in 18 months. Prestige from 0 to 1.7 million dollars. That's an e-commerce brand. Allen is our software company from 0 to 1.4 million in 6 months, and that's per month. Each of those numbers. So 2.4 million a month, 1.7 million, 1.4, and then 40,000 to 700,000 was one of our acquisitions, to $700,000 a month in a short 10 months. All right, and that was brick and mortar. So you can see this across different, one was licensing, one was physical products, one was software, and the other is brick and mortar chain in photography. So very different types of businesses, but the frameworks work all the same. All right, and so like I said,
okay, at this point something happened with the video. Wait.
Earlier, we take $3 to $10 million companies at minimum in that range, obviously higher, but at minimum in that range, with the goal to exit in 3 to 5 years. My point for all of these videos is to give you help you make your first dollar, your first million, your second $1 million. What I do with companies is I help them make their last dollar they'll ever need to make, and that's kind of my whole thing. So if you're less than 3 million right now, then this is all for you. Enjoy it for free. I have nothing to sell you, so enjoy. All right, so the offer. How to make offers so good people feel stupid saying no. The reason I started with offers over anything else is that before we can get into traffic, before we can get into generating leads, making sales, all that stuff, you have to literally initiate a transaction with a customer, which is an offer, which is what you're going to exchange in value with them to get them to pay, right? So to catch fish, you need bait or an offer, all right? And so that is the starting point of a conversation to initiate a transaction, what you literally give them in exchange for their money. So right now, if you have, if your ads don't convert well, or you're not getting new customers, or your sales team or your salesperson, or it's you, has trouble scaling, or it takes too long to ramp up new reps, or you're just not getting people to say yes, many times the offer is the issue, right? And so the reason this is important is that the offer is going to be the #1 driver of success in any campaign. So what does it do, right? It will allow you to sell in a vacuum or a category of one, and force customers to make value-based decisions instead of price-based decisions. This is the key point of why an offer is so important. All right, when customers look at the marketplace when they're trying to solve a problem, they're going to look at the different offers that exist, right? And if you can position your offer in such a way that they are not going to compare your price, right? Because they can't, because you've made your offer so unique,
Make the
right?
customer
And instead of
make
doing, you become a
decisions
category
based
of
on
one,
the
and then you're no
value,
longer
not the
constrained
price.
by pricing whatsoever, right? And so by doing that, you're able to sell in a way that's completely one-to-one, so that you don't have to compete with anyone else, and that will protect your margin. It will give you a host of competitive advantages that are enduring. All right, and so the goal of fixing your offer or improving your offer is to decommoditize what you sell. Now, the end
Okay,
result
at
of
this
that
point,
is you'll have higher CTU.
wait. This is super important. So, I want to apply this to my personal brand and my the shoe brand. Need to apply these concepts to the shoe brand. Okay. These are some ideas. Okay, I already know my target audience, so I need to make, let's put here the product. This is the shoe I'm working on. I've been working in this project like for 3 months, 2 months, 2 months. Product. Oh, bro. I will put a black background. So, I need to create an offer and make people and lead people to make decisions based on the value, not the price. Why people will choose my shoe? I will make this sticker right now. Perfect. Based on the value, not the price. I need people to make decisions. I need people to make decisions based on the value, not the price. So, what value my shoe offer? Ah, bro. Oh, damn it. Okay, perfect. So, if I want to make $1 million in 1 year, I need to lead people to make decisions based on value. 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 Perfect. Value. I'm solving a specific problem. Durability. The durability of my shoes. So if I offer value, runners are looking for a shoe that is comfortable, that is durable, and what else? What else? The look of the shoe, the style. So value, the value. I'm solving a problem, and with that problem, I create the value of the shoe. So durability, durability, style, durability, style, comfort. These are the problems I'm solving, and this is the value I'm offered to the customer. So I need to offer this value to the customer. How? So I need to create a shoe that solves those problems, and I need to offer value, make an offer based on value. I'm not selling a shoe. I'm selling a shoe that is durable, that have a good style, and that gives you comfort. So that's what I'm doing.
So click the
I
rates
need
on
to
your ads because
increase
your offer
these
is better.
three things.
You'll have a higher amount of those people who will
Bro,
convert.
what's up? How things are going? Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate that.
And say yes to working with you because the offer is better, and they'll be able to say yes at higher prices. And so you combine those things together, you have a higher percentage of eyeballs who say yes, I'm interested, a higher percentage of those people, that is already a greater number, saying yes, I want to buy, and doing so at higher prices. And so I'm going to show you a couple real world examples of what we've done here. And so the translation for normal languages, more leads, more
I missed
sales.
one thing. We missed one thing. The counter. Let's put the counter, because right now, bro, right now, we are dun, 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 dun. 185 subscribers. Let's go, bro. Let's go. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate that. And we are 185 subscribers. 185 subscribers. Thank you so much.
At higher prices and higher profits. Okay, so here's two real life examples. One is a B2C weight loss example. This is a really classic one. This is what we did in our licensing company a few years ago, but it really transformed the industry. So the typical independent owner of a boot camp or any kind of independent facility, they were charging $99 a month for large group training. And the problem with that is that it's highly commoditized, right? There's a ton of people who are offering the same thing for the same price. And again, this is the point here. People are going to look around and say, well, this place is closer to me, and maybe this one's, $10 more. And then they just basically look and say, are these equivalent? Yes, then I will take the cheaper one, right? And that's horrible and embarrassing, and you don't want that to happen. So what we did is we switched our offer to a free 6-week challenge. And so the components of that offer were fairly simple, right? Instead of selling, a membership package, we would sell a defined end program, which was, in this case, you'll lose 20 pounds in 6 weeks, or, and if you do lose it, you get all of your money back, right? Which is pretty cool and compelling, right? It's like betting on yourself. And so people thought that was a really cool offer too. And so people would pay $600 and then get a host of other things that you wouldn't normally be able to get at a bootcamp or large group training facility. You'd have an accountability coach, you'd have a nutrition coach, you'd have meal plans, grocery lists, preparation instructions, eating out guides, all of these extra pieces that would make it amazing. And then on top of that, there was a satisfaction guarantee that even if you didn't hit the goal, if you didn't think you got $600 worth of value during that period of time, they would give you the money back. All right,
You recover
really
your
compelling
money.
offer, right?
Okay.
And so as a result of that, a lot of people wanted it, and so because it was free, more
In this
people
case,
clicked.
the
Because the
value is
offer was so good,
losing.
more people bought. And as a
It's
result of that,
losing
instead
pounds.
of getting $99 on these people, we got $600 plus, and then there were multiple upsells on top of that. And so this literally transformed what most people were doing to break even on their acquisition or lose money getting new customers to making 30 to 1 upfront. All right, that doesn't even include the recurring or back end. 30 to 1. That means if you put $1,000 into marketing, you make $30,000 in that first 30 days. That is the power of changing the
So,
offer. All right,
at
core
this
services
point,
were the same, and this is
I
the
need to be more specific. So, right now, I don't have the shoe. At the point I have the shoe, I will have the shoe ready to sell that shoe. But no, probably I will have the shoe to test and all those things in 4 months. And my plan is to sell the shoe in 6 months. So I have 2 months to test the shoe, to analyze the shoe, and based on that, I need to be specific. How durable are my shoes? I need to be reminder. I will put this in color red. Reminder. Be specific. I need to be specific. I will put a circle as well. I need to be specific. So once I get the shoe, I will test the shoe and I will be specific with what my shoe can offer to the market. What my shoe can offer to the runners. In this case, runners. My target audience are runners that want to compete in competitions like High Rocks or something like that. So I need to be more specific. More specific. Once I get the shoe, I will be more specific with these things and create the offer for my shoe. But it's good to know because I can start all this process right now, 4 months before I launch the shoe. So if I start right now with all this process and starting these concepts, when I end this book, I already have the information to make $1 million, to sell shoes and make $1 million selling shoes.
point here is that in your business, we don't need to change what you're doing. We need to change how you're presenting what you're doing. And that's what this whole training is about. All right, so here's a second one. This is a B2B agency example. So on B2C, as in business to consumer, and B2B is business to business. So you're selling, business services. So this is an agency example. So if a classic lead generation to small business owner, if you're serving chiropractors, you're serving plumbers, you're serving roofers, you're serving whatever, right? A classic example would be like a $1,500 a month retainer, right? That's a normal example. But what we did is, and that's very commoditized, which is why it's very difficult for most people to make money doing that, right? And we switched that to pay me once, then only pay me when someone shows up, right? So you pay me one time, we get you set up, and then from that point going forward, the only money you ever pay me is if I get someone to show up at your business, all right? So let me show you the difference of what happened and this is our customers, all right? This isn't me doing this. This was agencies we worked with. All right, they went from 0.5 to 1 return on advertising in their first 30 days, meaning they spent $1,000 to get $500 back, or they spent $5,000, got $2,500 back, but then they had the recurring so they wouldn't get up the next month, right? That's a normal business with normal returns. The difficulty is it's hard to scale that profitably unless you have a lot of money, right? Which many people don't. And so once we made this transition to a pay-for-performance model, they went from 0.5 to 1 to 11 to 1 return. That means they put $1,000 in, they got $11,000 back before they have the continuity that kicks in. This is the power of changing the offer. Now you'll notice that these are different offers altogether. This one is a performance offer with an implied guarantee. This one had two guarantees, and a conditional and an unconditional guarantee, and it had a stack of bonuses with some urgency. And I'm going to show you kind of how to put these pieces together. All right. So real quick, because I like showing the math behind this stuff. The first offer that I told you, these were the numbers behind that offer. They spent $10,000. This is the data we collected. 300,000 impressions. The response rate was 0.00013. They were booking 40 appointments. Show rate was 75%. You can see the math all the way down here, and that's what resulted in 0.5 to 1. Now, as soon as we made the change, we got 2.5 times the response rate. All right, that's key point number one. 2.5 times as many people who saw the ads with that offer responded. All right, now from there, that obviously 2.5x the results. All that stuff was unchanged, just 2.5x flowed through. The second big point of improvement was on the closing percentage. They closed 2.3 times more people, all right, than they were before on their typical model, all right? And here's what's crazy, is that we actually quadrupled the price for these agencies, all right? So a lot of them were charging $1,000 or $1,500 up front, but they were able to charge $4,000 up front, all right? So they had 2.5 times the response rate, 2.3 times the close rate, and then 4 times the price. And so what that resulted in was 22.4 times more cash collected up front. All right. So if they spent $10,000, they made $5,000 the first time. When they made this Grand Slam offer, which is what we call an offer that takes all the components put together, they made $112,000 off that same $10,000 in ad spend. All right. And they went from 0.5 to 1 to 11.2 to 1. And so the end result here is they got paid to get new customers. And that is the point. Right? If you can get paid to get new customers, then marketing budgets disappear, and it all becomes about scaling your operation.
I also will use this time to record some B-rolls. I think that I can use this time more wisely. Studying, learning, and recording B-rolls for future videos. So let's continue.
Bottlenecks. It no longer becomes acquisition. Acquisition is no longer the bottleneck. And ultimately, what's interesting for me is that with the companies that I work with, I'm almost never talking about acquisition because we fix the acquisition problem so quickly that the remainder of our time is building out the operational scale and infrastructure of the business. So you might think, Alex, that's neat, but how do I actually do that? That is the purpose of all the courses and trainings that I'm putting together for you. All right, so there's 9 components that we've kind of identified. There's a book that's coming out.
Starving Ground. This is a very interesting concept that Alex explains in this book, and is that if you are the only one selling hot dogs at 2 a.m. outside a bar, you will make money. Even if your offer is bad, even if your market is bad, if you are the only one selling hot dogs outside a bar at 2 a.m., you will make money. A Starving Ground.
That goes into all of these factors in more depth. I think it's free or at cost. It's probably between $1 and $10.
Starving Ground.
Don't quote me. Maybe it's 20 or maybe I changed my mind.
This concept is so
probably $1.
Starving Ground.
So number one is you want to have the right market. All right. So I call it the starving crowd. So there's 3 components to that. There's 4 factors and 3 main markets, and then how to niche that I'm going to cover. Charging what it's worth. So I'm going to talk about pricing. The next part of the offer is going to be the value equation. So it's understanding how to create more value in the actual thing that you're selling itself. And it's really just repackaging the things you're already doing in new ways. All right. Beyond that, it's be creating the Grand Slam offer part 1, which is actually defining out their outcome, figuring out the problems, and figuring out the solutions that you're going to provide to those problems. The second part is going to be the sales to fulfillment continuum, which is ultimately, I could work one-on-one with every single person, but it'd be very difficult to fulfill. So the question is, how do we mix these parts so we can make it a scalable model, a scalable offering that's still going to provide tons and tons of value to them? All right. Next, we'll have scarcity and urgency. So this is basically how we decrease the decision-making period for the prospect to get them to buy faster. There are ethical ways to do this. that we've used over and over again that work very, very well. And I'll show you both of those because scarcity and urgency are different. Oftentimes they're treated the same, but they're not the same. And I'll show you the delineations between those. 7, as I'll show you the bonuses. So there's 11 bullet points that we do when we're considering bonuses.
Okay,
and stacking
wait,
offers.
I need to
And I'll
take
show you
notes. Price value virtuous cycle. Perfect. Creating a grand slam offer. Part 1. Outcome problem solution. Part 2. Sales to fulfillment. The how cheat codes. Dream and stack.
We look into those things. 8, I'll show you the different types of guarantees. I think I'll show you 13 different guarantee structures off of 2 main one, which is conditional and unconditional guarantees, and how to stack those guarantees together to virtually eliminate risk for your prospect. And then finally, the magic naming formula. And the reason this is important is because, one, if you're in a local market or in a smaller market or niche, you'll oftentimes need to change the naming around your core product or your promotions in a way that gets your avatars or your prospects to want to move towards you and know that what you have is for them, right? And so there's ways of naming things that will increase response rates. There's ways of naming things that will increase the value that they're going to perceive from your product. And I'm going to break down each of those things for you, okay? So that concludes our introduction to this entire section. These are the 9 components of the offer. Starving crowd, charging what it's worth, getting the value right, understanding how you're going to break down the problems, understanding how you're going to fulfill those problems, scarcity, urgency, bonuses, guarantee, and actually how to name it. So really excited to dive in with these. This is some of the, I'm just very excited. So hope you are too. Buckle up. It's going to be a fun ride. And I'll see you in the next video.
Okay, amazing, interesting. Was a good video. Picking market.
What's going on, everyone? My name is Alex Hormozi. I'm the CEO of Acquisition.com. We hold a portfolio of companies, and we work with $3 to $10 million companies to help them, at minimum, $3 to $10 million to help them scale and exit. in 3 to 5 years so that they never have to make another dollar again. The reason for this training is for everyone who's less than $3 million a year. I want to help you get there so that maybe someday we could work together. And at the very least, I just want to provide you value. So the first component of figuring out whether or not your stuff is converting is understanding who you're talking to. And so the first part of this is Starving Crowd. And this is a number of trainings that I'm putting together for everyone that's available on acquisition.com. You can go there and get all the trainings for free. All right. So let's dive into this puppy. So the offer that you have might not be converting because you might be in the wrong market. So you might have a great offer, but you just put in the wrong market. So this is kind of the first thing we have to look at in a business, right? That I'm working with. So here's exactly how you pick the right market. There's 4 pieces of this. One is the levers of success. These are the things that are going to make or break you in this process. The next is the 4 variables that I look at when I'm picking a market to say whether I want to get into this business or I want to get into this market or not. The third is 3 main markets that exist and how to find your sub-market within those. And then finally, the riches are in the niches, which is why niching is so important, especially...
There are 3 types of markets that exist. Let me search for it. Health, money, and relationships, I guess. Health, wealth, relationships. In my case, let's put this here. Market. I'm applying all these concepts. I choose the health market because I'm creating shoes specific for runners. I'm creating running shoes. I want to create a specific type of running shoes. In this case, my market is health. I want to sponsor the best runners in the world and help them to go beyond the human limits. So I'm in the health market. I'm creating running shoes for people that want to compete, that want to go beyond their human limits. So I'm in one of these 3 markets. Well, health, relationships. So in my case, my market is health.
If you're below 3 million or really even below 10 million, why niching is so important for you to be successful. All right, so let's start with the 3 levers of success. So there's 3 pieces to this that will make you successful, and the first one is the most important, and then if this one checks off, we go to the second one. If that one checks off, you go to the third one. And so the first is the actual market itself. And what I mean by that is, if you're selling toilet paper during COVID, then you're probably don't have to have any other skills besides actually just having toilet paper. It was kind of like when masks exploded at the beginning of COVID. Like if you just had them, you were going to sell out, right? And so there are markets that are like that, where the demand to supply curve is so one-sided that it doesn't really take anything to be successful besides having a pulse, right? Now, most of us are not in one of these markets, but if you are, then kudos, and just stop the video right now and keep doing what you're doing. But it's good to at least understand the different dynamics between marketplaces. And so the way I see each of these 3 variables is you have like a plus, a neutral, or a negative. As long as you're either a plus or neutral, then you can move on to the next part of this equation, all right? Which is going to be your offer itself. right? So as long as we're in at least a normal marketplace, which I define as just something that's growing at the same pace as the economy, or the population, excuse me. As long as it's growing at the same pace as the population, then I know that this is a normal marketplace. And I want to be candid with you. All of the money I've made in my entire life has been in a normal marketplace. I've never had a gangbusters crazy marketplace. I wish I could, and when I if you see one of those opportunities, definitely jump onto it. But for me, it's always been in the normal marketplaces. I just try to avoid marketplaces that are dying, right? And I'll give you some examples of those in a second. All right. But with the offer itself is okay. We're in a normal marketplace, but if we're not getting sales, then it might be the offer itself is not very good. All right. And again, here, if you have a great offer, you could stop here and nothing else would matter. If you have an amazing offer, that's it. You can crush it, right? Now, if you have a normal offer, then it goes to the next part of the equation. If you have a terrible offer, then you probably won't be successful at all. All right. And so the third piece of this, that's the least important, is going to be your ability to persuade, right? And the only reason that you would need to be really good at persuasion is if you're in a normal market and you have a normal or subpar offer, you have to be exceptional at persuasion, right? And so there have been empires that have been built off of amazing influencers and persuaders, but you have to have that. And so for me, if I'm working with a business, I'm going to look at these first two parts of the equation first, which is, can we find something that's growing and interesting, right? Can we make an offer that's really compelling so that we don't have to develop some of these skills that take a long time to develop, right? Obviously, if you get better at persuading, all these things work better too. But at the very least, like a good persuader in a terrible market is not going to be a bad persuader in a great market. All right, markets usually win. All right, so those are the three levers of success, just to set the context and the frame for what we're going to go into. So these are the four variables that I look at when I'm picking a marketplace. The first is that the customers have to be an absolute pain, right? I don't want something that's just convenient or a nice to have. I want something that they. The first terrible market is not going to be a bad persuader in a great market. All right, markets usually win. All right, so those are the three levers of success, just to set the context and the frame for what we're going to go into. So these are the four variables that I look at when I'm picking a marketplace. The first is that the customers have to be an absolute pain, right? I don't want something that's just convenient or a nice to have. I want something that they absolutely desperately need. All right, as an example, if I were selling hot dogs at right at 2 a.m. as the bars let out in a college town, I'm probably going to do pretty well, right? I've got a starving crowd, quite literally.
Alex explains in this book.
The next thing I'm looking at is purchasing power, which is do these people that I'm looking to sell to, do they have money? I had a good friend of mine was really, really good at proving resumes, right? And so he made this offer. It was a really good offer to job seekers, and so it was people who were unemployed. What he found out soon was he's like, no one can afford my services, and it was just kind of ironic because that's who he's going after. Not to say that the unemployment market is something that you couldn't go after.
Okay, in my
just
case,
that at least the way that he was approaching it and where he was finding them, those people were all on unemployment, didn't have any money, and so they
pain, purchasing power, easy to target, and a market that is growing. With my shoe brand, all these concepts apply. It's a market that is in pain because runners are in problems because the durability of the shoes, they don't want to use the competition shoes for training. I'm solving that problem with my shoes. I'm creating shoes specific for training. And it's a market with a high purchasing power, and it's easy to target, and it's a market that is growing. There are a lot of runners every single day. There are new runners every single day. People that find a passion for running, that want to run, that run for health, etc. So it's a market that is growing very fast. And with the Hyrox, with this competition, the runners for this competition are increasing. So I'm creating a shoes for training and for this competition called Hyrox. So it's a market that is growing.
For his services. And so that's why the second thing that I look at is purchasing power. Do these people have money, right? Third is, are they easy to target, right? Because it's great to have an avatar that you're going after, but if I don't have a way to easily target them on a platform, or they have associations they belong to, or lists that I can rent, or other people who already have aggregated these pools of attention together, then it's going to be really difficult to market to them. Like, for example, if I'm trying to market to doctors, and only way that I have to reach people is nurses, well, then my offer is going to fall on deaf ears and it's not going to work, right? Not to say that that's as an example. There's obviously really easy ways to target doctors, but you just need to know how to target those people. And if I can't target them, I don't go after that market, all right? And then finally is I want something that's growing, all right? So a good friend of mine owned a company, actually still owns a company, that was a software company that provided advertising services to newspapers, local newspapers. And the problem, and it's so funny because he's such a good entrepreneur, he's a crazy good entrepreneur. And he called me up and he was like, hey man, like I can't figure out why this isn't working, right? He had a really good offer. It was a performance-based offer. It was zero down. It was a rev share based on the revenue he made. So I mean, it was a super easy offer to sell. All of these things, and he had a good revenue model behind it. But the problem was just the big obvious thing, and that's why sometimes it's good to have outside advisors or other people to just bounce things off of, which is like, dude, you're selling newspapers, and just so you guys know, newspapers shrink at 25% annually for the last 9 years. 25%, that's compounding. So it's literally reverse, like terrible shrinkage in the marketplace. That means it cuts in half every like 3 years, which is really not good. So even if he were growing at 25% a year, he would literally only be staying the same because he has to combat the fact that the marketplace is shrinking. All right. And so those are the 4 components. 1 is the pain. I want to make sure that they desperately want what I have. 2, they have the money to afford it. 3, I can find them easily, and that they are growing. And so that is what I'm going to look at. And if I can't find one of those things, I'm going to try and find a place or a market that meets all 4 of those variables. All right, so we have the 3 levers of success. As long as we realize the market is the most important part, offers the second most important part. These are the 4 variables that I do to pick a market. And then you're like, okay, well, what markets exist? All right, so there's 3 main markets, right? You've got health, wealth, and relationships. And if you think about those, that's kind of like the 3 core problems of the human condition, right? We want to have money, we want to be loved, and we want to be healthy, right? Those are kind of the 3 big things. Now, when you look at those markets, those are the main markets, all right? Everything kind of exists within one of those 3 buckets. If you think about it, that's just about everything that's out there, right? And so what you want to do is you want to help a unique avatar solve a specific problem in a unique way that reverses their biggest objection. And so that's how I like to think about it. I'll say it again. I help a unique avatar, so a very specific person, solve a very specific problem in a unique way that overcomes their biggest objection or worry. All right. And so by doing that, we are positioned in a unique way in their mind. They're like, oh, well, this is for me, because they're going to hear that it's about them. And it solves this very specific thing that I understand. But wait, is it going to be one of those? No, they do it in a unique way that solves my objection, right? And you can think about how that works from a persuasive standpoint. Now, within each of these markets are sub-markets, right? So within wealth, you could be helping people find real estate investments. You could help people with the stock market. You could help people advertise. You could help people build sales teams. You could help people create offers. You could help people do a variety of things that are going to ultimately make them more money, all right? Within health, it could be, you help people through nutrition-based interventions. You can help, and that's obviously just one sub-bucket. You would have tons of sub-buckets underneath that. You've got keto, intermittent fasting, Weight Watchers with the number system, Nutrisystem with meals that get sent to them. There's all these different ways of solving the same problem, right? Which oftentimes all we need to do is just repackage what they're already doing so that we can ultimately sell stuff, all right? Now, I'll go back there real quick. When we're looking at this, wealth is going to be B2B and B2C. So B2C wealth would be targeting normal consumers and helping them make money. So that might be a new business opportunity, or it might be a job opportunity, or learning a skill that allows them to get a higher paying job. That would be considered wealth for a B2C. B2B is targeting existing businesses and trying to make them more money from their existing, business, right? That's market, like anything that's marketing related, anything, even IT services indirectly is wealth related, right? Because what you're doing is you're indirectly improving, their backend system so that they can make more money, right? So when we're always thinking about this, it's like what's the so that they can, right? We're doing this so that they can make more money. We're going to do this relationship stuff so that they can have more love and not feel alone, right? And then health, again, is B2C. So most health products, with the exception of like corporate fitness, is going to be B2C. B2C. Almost all relationship stuff, you're not selling relationship stuff to businesses, except, because even if you sell anything to a business that was like, hey, we'll help the founders talk to each other better communication, that's still going to fall under wealth because it's going to make them more money, right? And so these are the 3 larger markets. You need to find your sub-market underneath of that, which is going to be your unique way of targeting a specific avatar, solving a specific problem of theirs in a unique way that solves their biggest obstacle, all right? So those are the 3 main markets and how to look for your sub-market, all right? Now, the reason that the submarket is so important is this fourth point, which is that the riches are in the niches. And I'm gonna explain this with a visual that I first heard from Dan Kennedy, and it was really just eye-opening for me. It really changed my life, and so I'll share it with you right now. And if you like more of this stuff, by the way, I'll just pause. You can go to acquisition.com. I have free trainings. I'm continuing to release more books and courses on this stuff for you guys at cost, because I just want people to be wealthy and successful. And my very transparent goal is that you build your business from nothing to $3 million a year, and then you call me up and say, hey, I used all your free stuff. I didn't have to buy anyone's stuff, and I was successful, and I want to go to 30 million. And then I'd be happy to take the call. So what do we have here? So you've got your product, you've got your price, and I want to show you what this looks like. So let's say that you had a generic time management course. All right, this is going to really drive this point home for you. Let's say you had a generic time management course, and let's be honest, if you were at Barnes & Noble's and you're looking at time management course, it might sell for $19, right? Just a thing or a booklet on time management, right? Very straightforward. All right, and that's because it targets everyone, right? And so as a result, there's no unique avatar, there's no unique process in it whatsoever. It's just generic, and so that is why it has to be priced this way, right? Now, let's say that we then took the same course and just changed the language inside of the course, same core thing, right? And we changed it to time management for sales professionals. All right. This is much more interesting now. And in our sales messaging, we can talk about more specifically the problems it's going to solve for them in the actual product itself. We can talk about, hey, this is going to help you make one more sale or two more sales just by being more efficient with your time. All of a sudden, now this is the same course, more or less, just now sold for $99. That's cool. Now let's look at the next one. Let's say we niche down even further, right? We say time management for outbound B2B sales. Well, if I'm an outbound B2B sales rep, I'm like, wow, this is really specific for me. It's $500. I mean, I would consider this. I mean, I do one deal and I'm gonna make this money back, right? And so I'm definitely gonna get my ROI on this thing, right? But notice we've already gone from $19 to $500, and this is already just the main course. But let's just see how much further we can even take this thing. So let's say I had a course, it was time managed for outbound B2B power tools and gardening sales reps. All right, and I could sell this for $2,000, because think about this. If you were an outbound B2B sales rep for power tools and gardening, right, you'd be like, this thing is literally made just for me. Like, there's nothing else on the market that's like this. Category of one. And as a result, it's going to be made specifically for me and solve my problems in a unique way that'll overcome my biggest obstacles that they know, because that is who I am, right? And so we went from a $19 price to a $19.97 price, as in $2,000, all right? And so we literally just 100x'd the price of the product that we have simply by niching down. And that is why they say the riches are in the niches. All right, that's why this is so important. And from a selling perspective, it also makes it significantly easier, because the messaging and your copy and your advertising, all that stuff is going to be specific to that avatar. All right, and so same product, 100 times the price. That is the power of niching. All right, and so the reason, like I said, is so profitable. You can be so.
So I want to put here the niche. Okay, wait. Runners that want to compete in the Hyrox and that want recovery shoes, charging shoes in my case, the name that I will give to this new product is charging shoes. Charging shoes that want to use running shoes, that don't want to use running shoes to for training, and in this case is where my charging shoes enter. So this is the specific niche.
So specific, all right? And so I like to say this because I think this is a nice soundbite that you can always remember, is that the goal of great writing is for the reader to understand.
So at this point I have a specific person, a specific thing, and I solve that specific problem in a specific way with the charging shoes.
Goal of great copy is for the prospect to feel understood. That's the difference. When you're trying to persuade, you're not trying to teach. You're trying to get them to feel understood, because the better you can articulate their situation and their problems, and if you can say what they are suffering from.
We learned that from a previous video from Alex Hormozzi. The goal of great writing is for the reader to understand. The goal of great copy is for the prospect to feel understood.
From better than they can, then they will automatically believe that if you can articulate their problems better, you can also articulate the solutions to their problems better than they probably have thought of. And as a result, you will be an expert at solving their problem and justify the price that is probably significantly more because it's made specifically for them. All right, so that is the power of niching down and why it's so important. So if right now your offer is not converting, it may be because you're not in the right market. And so one, the 3 levers of success, we went over that. 2, we went over the 4 variables that I look at when I'm picking a market.
The secret of good persuasion is for the prospect to feel understood.
To be in pain, I want them to have purchasing power, I want them to be easy to find, and I want them to be growing. The 3 main markets that exist, and then you have to find a sub-market, which is going to be health, wealth, and relationships, right? Overall, there's going to be the 3 bigger ones. And then we need to do that sub-market and really niche down because it's going to allow us to be competing in a category of one. All right, realistically, if you're trying to compete against mass market, there are massive companies that already exist there and occupy that space. It's very difficult to dethrone them, right? Whereas if you can niche down, then it would be easier for you to make a compelling argument that you can solve this specific person's problem better than a generic solution, a commoditized solution. And as a result, you'll be able to spend more targeted ad dollars, more specific ways of reaching out to customers with specific messaging at higher price points and make a good profit and build a business around it. All right, so those are the 4 things that I look at when I'm as step number 1 is finding a starving crowd. All right, and so in the next video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to charge what it's worth. All right, so I'm going to go through that in the next video. Hope you enjoyed this. Go ahead, acquisition.com, if you want more free stuff. It's all there for you. Keep being awesome. I'll see you in the next video.
Okay. That's all for today, guys. Thank you so much for being here. I really learned a lot. So thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate that. We'll learn about choosing the right market. We'll learn about good persuasion. We'll learn about different things, all this stuff. And I really appreciate you being here. Like, I have like 1 viewer, sometimes 0 viewers, but there's no problem. I will continue creating content. I will continue going live. I will continue learning. And At the end of this year, I hope to make $1 million. And I hope to have 195 subscribers for tomorrow. For now, that's all for today. Thank you so much, guys. And I will make $1 million in 1 year. I will make $1 million in 1 year. No matter what happens. No matter if I have to make a live every single day, go live every single day, and no matter if I have to post every single day, I promise I will make $1 million in 1 year. I will make $1 million in 1 year. And at the end of this year, at the end of 2026, and at the start of 2027, I will have $1 million. I will create the best running shoes. I will sell the best running shoes. I will be the biggest content creator ever existed. And I will prove that I can make $1 million in 1 year. That if I stay focused for 1 full year, I will make $1 million. And I will fight for my dreams. I have 300 days to fight for my dreams. Right now I have 9 months, 25 days, and 6 hours to make $1 million. Real-time counter, guys. Real-time counter. You can check the counter on my profile. So you can check the counter on my profile real-time. So that's the time I have to make $1 million. 9 months, 25 days, and 6 hours. I will make $1 million. I will create the best running shoes. And in the future, I will have 1 billion viewers and $1 million. More than $1 million. I will continue creating content and posting every single day. Thank you so much, guys, for being here. And I want to say, pursue your dreams, guys. Pursue your dreams. I'm taking 1 year to pursue my dream. To make all these 100 things I want to do before I die. Starting by making $1 million. So pursue your dreams, because you only have one life. We only have one life. I only have one life, one shot. Thank you so much.